Hello, it is May 18th and it is another beautiful day in the Vancouver area. My name is Tracy and I'm the host of the Knitting on the Float podcast, and welcome to Lofty May Vlogs. We are slowly but surely making it through the month. Yesterday we did a little bit of cleanup downstairs to get some of that overflow put away, and today we're going to go back up to the loft. I thought I would start off with a little bit of outside time, listening to the birds, and then I'm going to go inside and I'm going to watch Survivor because I didn't get to watch it last night, do a little bit of knitting, and then we will visit a little bit later. But let's go see what's happening on the river. It's not super high tide, but it is higher tide right now. We've got a couple of Canada geese enjoying a little bit of grass. And down here, this mother duck really wants to keep her babies safe. And I saw her here the other night. She roosts with them. I guess I don't know if that's the correct terminology, but they sleep on the log. And the other day when I came here, she was sitting on top of them, keeping them underneath. And I guess that's a safer way to ward off the raccoons and other predators. I didn't mention the day that I saw the raccoons, one of my neighbors told me that there had been a coyote at the other end of the dock. So definitely lots of wildlife here. Anyway, I will let you enjoy the waking birds and those beautiful sounds for a moment before we go inside. Sometimes I have my camera in hand and I miss the opportunity. I was standing up in the loft, I looked out, and the beaver was just swimming by on the main river side. So we missed a shot, just like the other day. Oh, had the button, it was recording, but I couldn't see that it was recording. So I turned it off, and I missed catching the swan in flight. And oh, I'm still kicking myself over that one. Oh, I can't catch everything, but I want to. Anyway, we are up in the loft today, and I think today might kind of look like one of those shell games. We're just going to move a few things around, and there's not going to be a huge amount of difference, but what's going to be happening is some stuff will happen behind the scenes as a result of today's consolidation of yarn and things like that. And I'll explain in a moment. But first, let's take a quick look around at how the loft is looking so far. The sitting side of the loft, it is starting to look a little bit more pulled together. There are a few little playthings over here. Greg did point out that it looks like my things are migrating over to the sitting side, and I said it's going to take just a little bit of time. You'll have to wait it out. We are now about 2 weeks away from having this space all complete, crossing fingers. So today is May 18th and June 1st is a Thursday. So 2 weeks today, this should look nice and clear. Here is the craft side of the loft, and it is slowly but surely coming along. Certainly that corner looks a lot better, and I'm not sure whether today we're going to make this corner better or worse. We will figure this out. Today we are going to be doing some consolidation of bins, and the method behind the madness is, in order to move the bench that I want to move upstairs from my closet downstairs, is that I need to be able to move some things around in my closet. So what I would like to do is I would like to move some of the clear bins downstairs, and I'll put some linens and things like that into the clear bins to go on the top shelf in my walk-in closet. Now I have measured. These Rubbermaid totes are the ones that I'm aiming to bring downstairs. The bottom one, which is the bigger size, does not fit on the top shelf. However, definitely one of these medium-sized bins will fit, and I measured perhaps 2 might be able to stack, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Today's job, and I'll swing over here, we had cleared out these bins, putting yarn into the cabinet, and I have 3 of the small bins, 1 medium bin, and 1 of the large bins stacked here. And what my aim is today is to move yarn into that big bin at the bottom, and I would like to clear out at least a couple of the medium bins if I can. Talking about the bins, I actually really like the fact that my storage bins are clear, because it does make it easier to see what's inside, and critters tend to like darker spaces. My one fear with the clear bins is that because they are clear, the sun gets in and could fade some of those yarns. Anyway, let us get set up, and the goal today is to definitely fill up that bottom bin there and to move around some yarns so that perhaps we can get a couple more clear bins of the medium size that we can take downstairs and do some behind the scenes work. I've just measured, and these bins will also fit on the top shelf. So I prefer the large medium ones because I think they can hold a little bit more for what I want downstairs. But if worst comes to worst, these will do. My ultimate goal, I know it's a good laugh, is to move my yarn completely out of the bins. I have a lot of knitting to do though in order to make that happen. I know you're still laughing. One of the other things that I'm thinking might be a wise idea, one of these bins at the bottom is filled with fabric, and it is a really, really heavy bin. So with that fabric, it just makes it really hard to tote it around. So it might be wise to split the fabric between two medium-sized bins and then put the yarn that is in the medium-sized bin, or two of those medium-sized bins, into the large one. So again, just the old switcheroo, but that might make things a lot easier, especially if I'm wanting to move things around, which will be happening over the next couple of weeks. I have the big bin here, and I'm trying to decide whether I put these in there or take the yarns that are over in the corner and put them in. And I'm leaning towards the corner mainly because the bin that is there underneath is one like that, and they do stack nicely on top of each other. So I think I will start there. And the hope is that there might be a little bit more room at the top of the bin, that I can even add a little bit more from some of the other bins. Cross fingers, we will see. Change of plans. This bin has some hedgehog fibers in it, and one of these bins also has hedgehog fibers. So I am going to put all of the hedgehog fibers yarn into that bin. Oh my goodness, isn't that fun, fun, fun. I also have hedgehog fiber, and I might just put the fiber in those smaller bins because that actually makes a little bit more sense. So keep the yarn together, keep the fiber separate. Even though it is all hedgehog, it might be easier just to keep it all sorted. When I was debating changing colors for my Shu Sui shrug, I knew I wanted a purple, and I thought to myself, I really love this Shalimar Breathless fingering weight yarn that I knew I had in my stash, but I knew I only had the one full skein and most of a second skein, but I wasn't sure whether I would have enough yarn for the Shu Sui shrug with that combination, and this bin had been under all the stuff in the corner, so I didn't even want to go there. But that would have been a beautiful combination along with the hedgerow yarn as well. For another project. The shell game is in full swing now. I've moved some of the bins over so that I could get to the bin that has the hedgehog fibers, and I have a very healthy stash of hedgehog fibers. Just to share with you what is in this bottom bin, this is my lovely Canadiana stash. So there's some Tanis in there, some Sweet Georgia, there is some sweet fiber, some of the Fleece Artist colorways from the National Parks collection. I've got the rest of the National Parks collection in another bin, but there is lots of beautiful Canadiana in bright, lovely colors here. There's also some lichen and lace in there. In the end, I decided to keep all of the hedgehog together, so the fiber and the yarns are in here, which meant emptying one of the bins underneath the blue dresser. Oh, I've missed one. So there we go. So I'm going to try and put the lid on as best as possible, and then I will stack it on top of my Canadiana. Progress so far. It is definitely looking a bit scary, but I do have 2 bins cleared. I have pulled out a bunch of fiber, and I'm going to put the fiber into one or more of the small tote size. I have some must stash yarn here, and I've got a bin that has some scrumptious pearl. So I'm going to put the mustache and the scrumptious pearl self-striping together for now, and it is very likely that we will revisit these fabric bins later, but I do want to get the fiber put into these containers for now. And I would like, my aim is to have 4 of these medium-sized bins to take downstairs and do the work that needs to be done behind the scenes, but we will see how this goes. The consolidation is continuing. I have created a small bin with fiber. I have my Americana. It's got some teeny button, some Once Upon a Corgi, which has now got a new name and I can't remember what they've renamed. And I also have some Barnyard Knits. Or is it Barnyard Yarns? I think it's Barnyard Knits. Anyway, so that is what I call my Americana. And then I have the Hedgehog fiber and yarn, and then underneath my Canadiana. So yes, it is piling up in that corner, but the most important thing is that I can turn the handle on my ball winder without any issues. So again, there may be some movement, but for now it is helping me to sort things out a little bit better. And I have 3 empty bins. Things are looking very different again. I have put a bunch of yarn just on the floor, and I'm going to go through this bin here after moving all of these other bins. And this has fabric in it. So I'm going to put fabric into 2 of these bins and see how much of this yarn can go into that bin, keeping it as organized as I possibly can. And yes, another bin has been added to the corner. Do I have a favorite type of bin? Yes. It's taken me a while, but I actually really like these Sterilite bins. The lids go on really nicely. Things seat nicely on top for stacking, and I like these handles that are on either side. It just seems to, the lid seems to fit a little bit better. Here is lovely fabric stash, and I will be moving this bin, which is really, really heavy, into 2 smaller bins. So then that way it makes it a lot more portable, and then hopefully we'll be able to fit even more yarn than fit into the 2 small bins into this one big bin. It really is a shell game. Everything's just getting moved from one bin to another. So this big bin had the fabric in it, which was really, really heavy. It's now been redistributed to these 2 bins, plus I've put 2 lovely little bundles in the sewing cupboard, which we will definitely need to tackle in the next 2 weeks. Anyway, I'm going to put the lids on these and start sorting out this so that hopefully I've got some free bins to work with downstairs. Did I do a lot of work today? Yes. Does it look like I did a lot of work today? No, it definitely does not. It might even look worse than it did before. However, I think by moving some of the yarns, consolidating them, splitting the fabrics into 2 smaller bins, that has now allowed me to free up 4 of the medium-sized bins, which will then allow me to do some stuff downstairs. Then I can bring up the little bench here. I'll be able to put some yarn in the bench. We did free up some space underneath the blue cabinet as well. So while it may not look like it, some work definitely got done, and I am hot. All I can say right now is I truly deserve a nice cold beverage. Before we head downstairs, let's do a quick recap. So I started off with 1 empty medium-sized bin, 1 empty large-sized bin, and 3 empty small bins. We now have 4 empty medium-sized bins and 2 empty small bins, no empty large bins. When we look over here, I suppose the height has come down a little bit. These are now just all of the Sterilite bins, and they are now only filled with yarn. Previously, one of the large ones had been filled with fabric. And I know it doesn't look like we really did much today, especially when we look to the corner we just cleared out, and it is now pretty much fully stacked with yarn and fabric. But don't forget, we have 2 little bins down here, and the goal over the next few days is to bring up the bench, which will help put some more yarn into another place. So eventually we will get these storage bins not to 0, but to less than there are right now. Anyway, that is what the crafting area looks like today, May 18th. And who knows what we'll get up to tomorrow. Hopefully something a little less heat-inducing. If you stopped by for a visit yesterday, you know what is on the drink menu today. Today we are drinking out of our lovely little regular glass. And we've got something very special. Yesterday when I was cleaning up and I put the candlesticks away, I came across my cold brew filter and I popped in some mango fruit punch, which is a David's tea and always so yummy. It may have been past its best before date, but I don't care. We'll see if it is or not. Anyway, this is such a wonderful, refreshing drink, and I think after working up in the loft today, I have earned it. So I think for today we will say cheers to a lovely visit. Cheers, because having you visit with me is always so much fun. Definitely not past its best before date. Oh, so yummy. I may need to drink this, refill, and then we will go and chatter about crafting. It is so nice to sit down with my nice cold drink, crafts to the side, and have a lovely little crafty chat. So one more sip, and then I've got 3 things to share with you today. I got a bit of brain freeze from the cold brew. It is definitely very, very cold. It is now time to chat about the crafting that I have done between now and when we visited yesterday. I didn't show you while we were upstairs. I thought I'd bring it downstairs for this section. While I was moving fabrics from the big bin to the smaller bins, I came across this, and this is some cross stitch that I did quite a long time ago, and I must have been in a very autumnal mood because these colors are definitely screaming fall. And these were quilt inspired. I'm not sure where I got the patterns from. I had thought that it would be kind of nice to put it in one of those glass frames, the ones that fold on themselves and they're glass on both sides, and I can't remember what they're called, but they fold up and they're lovely. And I thought it would be fun to fringe the edges and frame each one. I just haven't gotten to it yet. I'd have to find a frame that I liked for that. Anyway, I did find these upstairs, and I thought that would be a fun little craft to share with you. I do believe I've shared this a long time ago on the podcast, but it keeps being put away to be found later, for me to sit there and say, what am I going to do with this? And I still have no idea what I'm going to do with it, other than put it aside, and then I'll probably pop it in the sewing cupboard and we'll see it again next week. The crafting that I got up to between yesterday and today, I worked on 2 projects, and the first one is in my lovely bird bag from Little Bobbins, and this is the Handmade Sock Society pattern 2. I'm doing a test knit for it, and I am using this gorgeous Wool Barn yarn. This is plush sock, and it's an 85% merino, 15% nylon. Oh, the stitch definition is amazing in this yarn. Unfortunately, Maya doesn't carry this type of yarn anymore, the plush sock. She probably has another one right now. I know she had some cashmere sock in stock, cashmere sock in stock, and it was selling out pretty quickly because that will be the yarn that Helen is using for her sample of the second sock from the Handmade Sock Society season 5. I am loving it so far, and it is knitting up beautifully, and oh, I'm so glad I chose this mist colorway. I really did love that Equinox one, but using silky singles for socks, definitely not a smart idea. Anyway, that is something that got a little bit of love and will continue to be worked on over the next little while. We had a bit of a mice celebration party. I also pulled out this project that is in my So Sweet Violet mice celebration bag, and this is my Shoe Sweet Shrug, which is a pattern by Susanna Summer, and it is a lovely brioche garter. It's like a jacket shrug. Oh, I am loving it. I started off using pink and the color that I'm going to also share with you, Glacier. So I was using a very, very soft pink, which was lovely, but with the Glacier, it just wasn't differentiating enough. So I decided to switch things up, and I went into my bin. I shared with you the Breathless earlier today. I had thought about putting Breathless with this, and that would have looked lovely, but then I would have had to have gotten to that corner. But instead, I picked out this gorgeous Viola singles, and this is called Thistle. So Viola and hedgerow yarns together are knitting up beautifully. I did 1 repeat yesterday, and then I realized I did an increase in the wrong spot, so I had to tink back 4 brioche rows, but I did it, and I'm back to where I need to be. So this is my Shoe Sweet Shrug. I'm going to put the lockers on. They had been previously on here, but just so that I don't accidentally knock yarn off the needles, because just even with regular knitting, that's a terrifying thing. But with a brioche project, oh, no thank you. I've already pulled this off the needles once on purpose. Don't want to do it by accident. So this is the Shoe Sweet Shrug, or my start to it, and I believe I have 6 repeats now done. And the Glacier, which is the lighter color, is my color A, and the Thistle, that beautiful purple, is my contrasting color, or my color B. And yesterday I did a little bit of a flub right in there, but as I said, I went back, fixed it, and now I'm back in that main vein as I need to be. I am loving this. Hello, Miss Tasha. She's going after my tea. I just know it. Or she's looking at the birds, one or the other. Anyway, it was nice to spend some time with this last night, even if I did make a mistake. And I am dreaming about how amazing this is going to be when this is complete. I'm not sure whether I will wear it this way or this way, because apparently it is reversible. it's just fabulous. Anyway, huge thanks to Sharon, who is the Knitting Project, for reminding me that I had this project or this pattern in my library. When she cast it on and was talking about it, I thought, oh, that's a beautiful one. So I joined along and am knitting with her. I think she's loving it as much as I am, but she's saying the rows are getting longer. And yes, they are starting to get a little bit longer, and they will continue to get longer, but with these colors, you don't mind so much. Anyway, that is the crafting that I have gotten up to in the past 24 hours since we visited last, amidst some of the shuffling upstairs today. What will I work on tonight? Well, I've already seen Survivor, which is good. Oh my gosh, it was so good. I was sure it was gonna go one way, and I'm glad it didn't, but I'm loving Survivor this season. I'm not sure what crafting I will get up to tonight. Depends on my brain power and what I'm feeling like working on. I'm guessing I will likely work on the socks a little bit more, and it might be nice to continue to do some work on the shoe suite as well. But these days I am just playing a lot of things by ear. I hope that you have a lovely rest of your day, evening, whatever time it is for you. And I look forward to visiting with you tomorrow. And who knows what we'll get up to tomorrow. Probably just reshuffling some of those bins back and forth again. That's how it goes sometimes. Anyway, I will see you then. Bye. Yes, I did. I did drink this entire bottle of cold brew all by myself. Hydration is important. And you know what? I'm going to make myself another bottle of cold brew in just a few minutes.